Namaskar, dear sadhaks. Today let us come together in a spirit of deep humility and readiness to listen to Shri Maharaj's precious guidance. The path to God is tender and sacred, like a blossoming garden that needs constant care. Let us attune our hearts to the wisdom that vigilance in sadhana is the true guardian of our spiritual progress. With folded hands and open hearts, let us now absorb today's Pravachan. A farmer may have cultivated the land and sown selected seed. The rain may be sufficient and timely. The sprouting may be vigorous. Even then, however, he must not rest careless. For even as the growth proceeds, increasing care becomes necessary. For one thing, stray cattle may enter the field and cause destruction. Also, pests or locusts may ruin the crop. Intrusion by cattle may be easily apparent and can be controlled by fencing. But attacks by pests or locusts may not be noticeable without minute inspection, and can only be controlled by sprinkling of appropriate medicines or chemicals. This means that the farmer has always to be vigilant. So too has one who is striving for spiritual uplift. What a fence or hedge is to the field, ordinary life of family and worldly affairs is to the spiritual aspirant. He should therefore pay due attention to its proper management, taking care, however, that it does not thrive so much as to encroach on the main crop and overwhelm it. He should not forget that the sole role of family life is like that of the fence, protection, and give it only that much importance and attention, and no more. We should lead family life without letting it become an impediment in the spiritual path. Just as the farmer inspects the crop very minutely to detect the incidence of pests, so too should we be carefully on the watch, lest the mind should get attached to worldly matters. With proper precautions as outlined above, a farmer may successfully reach the stage of harvesting of the crop. But care is required also in threshing, and the grain must be carefully garnered to prevent incursions by rats and mice. It should be carefully husked so as not to injure the grain. Thus, care and caution are needed at all stages. So too, they are necessary for the aspirant, for instances are numerous where the aspirant's progress is retarded if he acts carelessly, or under an illusion that the journey is finished and he has reached the goal. The aspirant leading a family life will have to live among other householders, and must therefore exercise great caution, lest his mind should go astray owing to their influence. There is no knowing when the inner inclination may change. Spiritual quest is indeed a difficult hunt. In the ancient land of India lived Sage Bharata, a noble and righteous king who, after fulfilling his worldly duties, renounced his kingdom and entered the forest to dedicate himself fully to God realization. For years, Bharata lived in supreme discipline, chanting God's name, meditating deeply, keeping his heart pure and unattached. His spiritual progress was so profound that he was on the verge of attaining liberation. One day, while meditating by a river, he found a helpless baby deer, separated from its mother. Moved by deep compassion, Bharata took the fawn under his care. Initially, his actions were guided by duty and kindness. But slowly, attachment grew. His mind, once absorbed solely in God, became increasingly filled with thoughts of the deer, worrying about its safety, food, and well-being. Even during his meditation, images of the deer would disturb his focus. Thus his vigilance weakened, and when death came, his mind was dwelling on the deer, not on God. As a result, in his next birth, he was reborn as a deer. Yet by God's grace, Bharata, even in the form of a deer, retained the memory of his previous human life and the mistake he had made. He spent his life as a deer roaming holy places, staying close to saints, and waiting for the time when he could be born again as a human and resume his sadhana properly. In his next human birth, he came to be known as Jada Bharata. Remembering the dangers of worldly attachment, he chose to live as if he were mute and mentally dull, Jada meaning inert, to avoid entanglements with the world. Even though society misunderstood him and mistreated him, he remained detached and firmly anchored in divine awareness. A famous incident occurred when he was forcibly taken to carry the palanquin of King Rahugana. Because Sage Bharata was deeply mindful of not stepping on even the smallest insects, the palanquin moved unevenly. Angered, King Rahugana scolded him harshly. At that moment, Sage Bharata, breaking his silence, spoke profound spiritual truths. He revealed his real identity as a realized soul and taught King Rahugana the nature of the self, the insignificance of bodily suffering, and the supreme goal of life, God realization. Through this, Sage Bharata fulfilled his spiritual destiny, teaching the world a timeless lesson about steadfastness, detachment, and vigilance in sadhana. Sage Bharata's story, from a near-liberated yogi to a deer and then to the divine teacher Sage Bharata, is a profound illustration of Shri Maharaj's teaching today. Like the farmer tending his crops, a spiritual aspirant must guard his heart and mind at every stage. A small distraction, a tiny attachment, can cause a fall even after years of sincere effort. Constant vigilance, humble living, careful association, and unwavering devotion are essential until the final moment. Let us lovingly remember, in sadhana no stage is final until total liberation is attained. Let us tread carefully, watchfully, and lovingly, keeping our gaze fixed only on the Lord. Beloved seekers, today we are lovingly reminded that sadhana demands not just enthusiasm, but unwavering vigilance at every step. Let us guard our minds tenderly, just as a farmer watches his crop, and offer every thought and action at the feet of the Lord. May our hearts bloom into the fullness of divine love, untouched by worldly distractions.